This is the family of Gavin Watson. This is the family of Gavin Watson making their way inside the hall. You see, that's the family that's gathered right now. A lot of tears, as this will be Gavin Watson's body making his way inside the Feather Market Hall. A lot of tears all around from family, colleagues, giving their last respect to Mr. Gavin Watson. Yes, I can. Yes. Sure.
These are the visuals of Gavin Watson.
Yes.
All right, if you just joined us.
Right now is the family of Gavin Watson. So what you see right now are the family members of Gavin Watson. The casket has made its way in. We will just try and see if we can do a shot of the casket itself. It has arrived about 5 minutes ago. And what you see right now on your shot is a picture of the casket itself making its way inside this venue. Those are the family members of Gavin Watson carrying the casket, making its way inside this hall here. A lot of tears all around from people that worked with him, those from the community as well. But these are what you call the VIPs, the family members, those close to Gavin Watson, coming in right now with the casket that has been carried there by the Watson family. So as you see right now, they were led by a song from the members of the Posasa group, making their way inside the hall, slowly making...
Lerato, it's Blaine. Just tell us, look, Gavin as well as his brothers have been described by many, I think, that you've interviewed over the past couple of days as struggle heroes. The Brothers Association associated themselves with the struggle for liberation, especially fighting for non-racial sport. Is that the sense you are getting there in the Eastern Cape?
Without a doubt, that is what has been said by people here in Port Elizabeth. During the 1970s, there was a rugby team called the Scrippians, was actually a black rugby team. And at that time, which was during the apartheid time, what the Watsons did, they actually went and played for this rugby team, which was not something done during apartheid times. I mean, this is a white family, a white man who says, you know what, I'm not going to play for the white team. Actually, I'm going to go form part of the black team and play for that specific team. So when we spoke to people here, especially people from the rugby fraternity, they had the same thing to say, that, you know what, this is a group of a family that stood up for black players, who believe that, you know what, equally as they are talented white players, they're equally talented black players, and we're going to stand aside the black players and showcase that they too have the potential to represent the country on a national perspective.
Gavin Watson, what are you hearing about him personally, how he operated? Some have described, I've heard, that he was a bit of a complex character. Give us an insight into the man.
An interesting man that we met last week when we traveled to Alisdale to get a feel from the people where he grew up was a man by the name of Hagi, who I feel described him very well. He said that Gavin Watson was a very upfront person. If you did something wrong, he would tell you, but then 2 minutes after that, the same man will say to you, not come back, this is where you did wrong, and then totally forget about that. So very aggressive, but very opinionated. But with that said, a man who equally had a good heart, who would reprimand you for doing wrong, but then 2 minutes later would forget it and then would say, let's just go have a drink. I forgot all about that. So very decisive, opinionated, aggressive, but also a man with a good heart, a giver, many have described him as.
Lerato, just tell us about some of the people that are likely to attend this funeral. We do understand, as you can see now in your screen, your shot, former President Jacob Zuma in attendance of Gavin Watson's funeral.
Yes, former President Jacob Zuma, we actually did hear yesterday that he'd arrived in Port Elizabeth, and we were anticipating his presence at this specific funeral. I'm not too sure exactly in what capacity he came, but perhaps on a personal perspective, yes, he is here. We also saw activist Mkhoseli Jack, who was an activist during the UDF time. Then we also saw Charles Ngagula, we also saw the wife of our former struggle hero, Chris Hani, as well. So a lot of people from the ANC here to support Gavin Watson's family. You understand why that during the 1970s, Gavin Watson formed an organization called the Concerned Citizens Organization, which was focused on teaching people the importance and the need to work with the ANC and not against them. So the ANC, I feel, really taking ownership of Gavin Watson, going to the extent of calling him one of their own, and the importance of coming to celebrate his life at this funeral.
We're currently looking at visuals of the former President Jacob Zuma. Do we know, Lerato, if the former president will speak at the funeral?
What has been really interesting, Blaine, about the program, we got it 5 minutes ago and I opened it and all I saw was just songs and when Gavin was born and when he died. No clarity in terms of the program. I think very tactical and strategic from the family, not to reveal that as such, but there is word that the former president might actually be on the program, and that is perhaps why he's here at this funeral.
What has been the approach by the brothers? Especially I was listening to Valence Watson talking to Griselda Lewis and complaining about some of the coverage that they were getting with regards to the Watson family. Are you getting that sense as well, that there is some sort of animus between the media and the Watson family at this stage?
Definitely. When the story broke, I think a week ago when Gavin Watson passed on, we actually went to the house and there was a guy there who was just told to deliver bread, and he said to us, the Watsons don't want to be seen by the media. They've actually been away from PE for the past week, because Gavin Watson was saying that for a long time he felt that the media had not given him a chance to speak his side of the story. During the Zondo Commission, Agritzi had so much to say about him, and ever since then no one has come to him and said, what would you like to say? What is your side of the story? So for a long time he felt ostracized by the media, felt victimized by the media, and also saying that up until his death no one had come to hear his side of the story. So the family is saying that for a long time he felt that the media was a bit one-sided when it got to Mr. Watson.
There's a whole lot of conspiracy theories floating around with regards to the circumstances surrounding the death of Gavin Watson. But when you hear the Watson brothers speaking, you get a sense that they were a very deeply religious family as well. And Valence, once again, was talking to Griselda a couple of days ago at the memorial service, and they basically are just paraphrasing Valence, saying that They're leaving this in God's hands, basically. Are you getting a sense that they're deeply spiritual?
Extremely, and I think I get root where it comes from. When we were in Alisdale, we were told about his father was actually a priest who actually went to the former church in Alisdale, and we were told that his father was extremely religious. He would take people from all around Alisdale, from the township, pick them up in their cars, and then take them to the church. And I believe it was the father as well who taught the sons the importance of being able to speak his Xhosa so that they could relate to the people of Alisdale. So I think the religious side definitely came from the father who was a pastor. But I also heard that Gavin was a praying man. Like I said to you a week ago, we went to the home, and the guy that was there who wanted to remain anonymous said that Gavin loved God, was a man of God, he went to church. That the one thing kept on saying over and over again, media, leave him alone, he loves God, he was a man of prayer, a very man with a good heart. So I think that really came from the father, that the father inculcated in them a spirit of prayer, of religion, of Christianity, and I think Gavin was the one who took that spiritual side the most from the father.
All right, Lerato Thipa, thank you very much indeed for your reporting. We'll come back to this funeral in a short while. Just remember, if you want to continue to follow it, we are streaming it on www.sabcnews.com. Lerato Thipa live for us in Port Elizabeth.